You think you can do that for 2 minutes?
Well, maybe if you just sat so.
Do you know how bad YouTube's video highlights the next day look when I'm trying to make a point and you look so interested that you're trying to fight to look anywhere else other than listening to me? He did not, okay, Lakewood Rob said he confused Jew with janitor, not Jew with billionaire. No, that's what the liberals want you to think. He was saying the word billionaire, talking about how billionaires who don't pay taxes, who are like these rich guys, these shady characters, get away with murder, and out comes the word Jew. That is how it was. What do you think about it?
I think it's a slip of the tongue.
Yeah, that's it? Nothing more? Because I've got another theory that's been bounced around. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another theory. He has made, and again, all these things have legs for it, because like the legs for my theory is because he grew up, or I shouldn't say grew up, but he spent 20 years listening to black anti-Semitism being preached at him from the stage from Jeremiah Wright. Now he's on stage preaching to a bunch of black people, you know, and there's this undercurrent of black anti-Semitism, and in and out comes this statement. Okay? That's the legs for it. Another approach could be, and this is an interesting one, ready for this? And again, there's legs for this one. He has made a lot of gaffes. This guy has made a lot of gaffes. A lot of them. But there's been quite a few gaffes that have been made where he said, my faith, our faith, the Muslim faith, right? He has said that, you know, the United States he's been to almost all 57 states. Not all 57, but he's made it to almost all 57 states. Repeated it twice. Most kindergartners know there's only 50. Where does 57 states come from? Do you know? There's 57 states in Islam. Okay? They believe that there's like 57 states in the world. Okay? So, once again, there's like, when he makes mistakes, he makes them towards Mecca. He faces Mecca and makes his mistake. Okay. What's interesting in here is, in the times of Muhammad, okay, which was like, you know, the 7th century, the Jews were only allowed to be kept alive if they paid a tax for themselves. It was called the Jizya tax. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah.
You guys can Google it. I think it's called the Jizya tax. And it was a tax that Jews would pay to keep themselves alive so that they wouldn't be killed by the Muslims. Okay? And it's a tax, you can look it up, it's extracted from, it's blood money, if you will. You know, it's a ransom, I don't know what you call it. Ransom that you pay that you won't be killed. Hey, Blood the Champ, how's it going? So there you go. So now, what he's saying, according to this theory, is I believe that billionaires should be taxed at the same rate as Jews were taxed under Jizya. Okay? And just like the Jew who had money had to pay to be kept alive, so too today the billionaires need to pay to keep themselves alive. And that's what was in his head. So, you know, he didn't want to come out and say it because, you know, this is America, not Sharia law, but nevertheless, this is the kind of crap that's been in his head. What's interesting is 3 different liberals on Sunday, or maybe it was over the weekend, it was reported on Sunday, have columnists and people like that have who I don't necessarily know their names, whatever, so don't ask me because I don't know these people to begin with, but 3 different liberal columnists have come out and said, has suggested that that billionaires who don't pay their money here in America should be exported. Like we should get rid of them out of the country. Like if they don't pay their fair share, they'd be kicked out. Which would mean that, which would give, would basically is the Jizya tax. If you want to stay in our country, then you have to pay this high level tax if you're rich, which is what was put on the Jews. So based on that, that's what was in his head. What do you think about that theory?
I think it's a bit of a stretch. I think he's definitely playing the class warfare card. I think he's definitely trying to rally his base and thinks that this will be a tight election where he has much less success with the moderates and the independents than he did in 2008. I don't think he's anti-Israel or anti-Jewish, but in effect, I'm skeptical of him. Let me just say I'm skeptical of him. According to Lakewood Rav, Obama is our first liberal Jewish secular president. Or so says New York Magazine, which is Jewish. So Obama's a secular Jew at heart. We'll say Obama's not a religious man at heart. Like he's willing, to go with the trappings of religion, but he certainly doesn't exude any genuine religiosity like George W. Bush. But I will say this, President Obama and President Reagan have the best use of any of our modern presidents.
What do you mean use?
Well, they're not all pulled down and contorted.
Oh.
Like George W. Bush has all these tension patterns in his body that really weird. Jimmy Carter was a real neck tightener and really clenched and pulled down. And but President Reagan, he had great use, like his head just kind of floated up there, and he had good use. And Barack Obama has pretty good use, so I'll give him that. That's, I think, part of the reason why he's so calm. He's not all contorted and like a rocket about to go off.
It's also because he was born in Kenya. In his developmental years, he wasn't sitting in a chair here in one of the in a first world country.
Yeah.
He was sitting out. He was like running around. Running from cheetahs and stuff out in Africa. So I'm sure that has something to do with it too. Because you pointed that out to me, that people who don't grow up in third world countries don't have our problems.
Yeah, people who don't grow up with furniture.
That's almost your proof right there that he grew up in Africa.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't have the situation. He doesn't need Alexander. Because he was born in Kenya. Okay, next thing. You take it away.
Bloody hell.
What?
So I'm done. Are you ready for the Pasha?
Yeah. What do you think about sports here, dude?
I don't. So are you ready for the Pasha? It's the last.
Actually, I want to do just a quick 2 seconds on something that you said to me earlier in the year.
Okay.
Before the season started, long before the season started, you asked me who do I think is going to make the Super Bowl. I said I don't want to say this until we're into the season. I'm starting to move towards my pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think Detroit is the best team in the NFC, and I think Buffalo is the best team in the AFC.
Yeah, I heard that on TV that Detroit and Buffalo, perhaps they could end up in the Super Bowl.
I think it's a very good chance.
Crazy.
I think the third best team right now in the NFL is Green Bay, which makes the Green Bay-Detroit division unbelievable, and I think those two games are the two games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
When Detroit plays Green Bay, I think is the biggest games of the season.
Detroit plays Dallas next Sunday.
Blowout.
When I'm moving.
Blowout. Good thing you're moving, and the TV will be in transit because you would just have your heart broken. Okay.
So this week's Torah portion is Hazinu, which is the last chapter in the book of Deuteronomy. It's the Torah portion between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And Rosh Hashanah starts Wednesday night. Before sundown.
And a Kasiba Tova to you.
Yes, and and a good New Year to you.
Thank you.
Shana Tova. So, are you okay with forgiving everyone who harmed you over the past year? Or
who harmed me?
I don't know. I'm sure some people did.
You've harmed me. I forgive you for all the harm you've done.
Okay, I forgive you for all the harm you've done.
I forgive. Basically, the way I work is like this. I find that just forgiving people is perfunctory, right?
Yes.
Christianity, this is the major difference between Judaism and Christianity. Christianity, you run around forgiving people who've never even apologized to you. Yeah. I forgive everybody.
I never even hurt you.
I forgive everybody. I don't hand out
get out of jail cards.
Forgiveness like a business card. I don't go, here, I forgive you, and I forgive you, and I forgive you, and would you like a bagel with that lox? I don't do that. The way it works is if somebody really did wrong to me, I expect them to what's called make amends. Make amends is what Judaism calls tshuva. Tshuva means a